What's up, everybody? It is Orange Bloods Live here on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That's Chad Hastings. We're going live. It's SEC Media Day. It's Georgia and Texas and Sark and Kirby. And, oh, by the way, Texas's most important defensive prospect in the 2026 recruiting class is choosing or has chosen between Georgia and Texas moments ago. Tyler Atkinson, linebacker out of Georgia, announces live in Georgia while SEC Media Days are occurring in Georgia that he is going to play the next 3 or 4 seasons at the University of Texas. Hit that like button, subscribe, all of that stuff. If you're excited that Tyler Atkinson is going to be a Longhorn, might as well hit some buttons and make it official. Chad Hastings joining me for what should be a lively and eventful program as like we get ready for Steve Sarkisian and Arch Manning talking at SEC Media Day later today. But the news of the hour, literally news of the moment, Chad, is that Texas gets a linebacker who's ranked the number 9 overall prospect in America in the Rivals industry rankings, which is like a composite. 14th by ESPN, 24/7 has him at number 20 overall. Rivals has him at number 30 overall. The consensus number 1 player in the state of Georgia. It's a big, big deal. Sark gets his guy.
Yeah, it's massive, and we're getting a lot of good chats coming in already. John, very excited. John Taylor, maybe from Duran with a big boom on the show. Stone 3 with just a bunch of emojis coming in. Ketch, you mentioned the timing of it. It's so fascinating to me, as it's almost like if you thought that Georgia and Auburn and Tennessee could get a little bit of the limelight today, could get a little bit of attention before Sark and Arch and Texas show up. Yeah, they got a little bit. They did. But as we're talking right now, it's between when Kirby Smart hit the podium and when Steve Sarkisian's going to hit the podium. Kirby got to open the day. Sark's going to close the day. And now in the middle, this incredible linebacker, as you stated, from Georgia, announces live on the Pat McAfee show where he's going to go, and he ends up picking Texas. It's monstrous. And for those Texas fans that we've been talking to about, take a breath, calm down, certain things aren't perfect, but you've collected a hell of a group of guys. And in this case, Ketch, this is about a guy that's not only big time and badass, and you were talking about the rankings, but talk about the time frame in your mind of why this guy is so important and how quickly can a Texas fan expect him to introduce himself.
Well, I think because of the way that the scholarship board is set up and the way the program is set up, Texas is pretty good at defensive tackle. They've got 8 coming back off of this year's roster scheduled for next year. They've got 3 commitments already. So, they were already good. They're going to return a bunch of guys. Edge position, you get Simmons back. You get Lance Jackson back. You get, Smith Orogbo. There's a lot of guys at edge. And, oh, by the way, you're landed another 5-star in Richard Wesley. The secondary's loaded. The one position in recruiting where they lose Anthony Hill, likely, right? Barring something terrible happening. Anthony Hill's going to go pro after the season. And then right after that, you look at that junior or the group that would be set to graduate after that. Now you're talking Leon LaFau. You're talking about Brad Spence. You're talking about another cluster of guys that are essentially that represent that entire position. So from a need position, I think position-wise, it's the biggest need position they have in this entire recruiting class, probably even more so than left tackle. Although I think we could certainly have a discussion, but I think those two things would be kind of even for me. What's unique about him is that there's a lot of things. Honestly, I could go there. He's been training this summer with Derek Johnson in Austin. Mm-hmm. He's got a relationship with Anthony Hill. There's a unique set of circumstances to this recruitment that allow for this to happen that is really unique. I don't know that he's a day 1 starter at Texas. He's not a like for like with Anthony Hill. He's 6'2", 210. I think you looked at him at the Pat McAfee show. That's what he looks like. He's not a monster-sized guy. He'll get there.
Yeah, look good, but yeah.
physically, he reminds me of a young Keenan Robinson. And I think that's, Keenan was 6'3", 210 when he showed up in Austin. Now, he grew into 245 pounds. Like, Keenan got big. And I don't know that I think that's exactly what will happen with Atkinson. But I think Atkinson, at a minimum, for me, is a guy that comes in, plays as a freshman. I don't know that I would project him to start. I don't know that if Anthony Hill moves out, Atkinson's a like for like in terms of replacing what he does. To me, he's kind of a supercharged version of who LaFau is, at which point you would be needing to replace that in 2027 at a minimum anyway. So, because LaFau would be a junior this year and a senior the year after, it's a big deal. And I also can't help but be reminded that a couple of years ago, one of my best sources indicated to me, this was kind of right as NIL was beginning, that Texas and Georgia weren't destined to duke it out for a lot of guys because Texas was probably going to go out of their way to avoid Georgia. And in the last couple of years, Texas has done a complete 180 on that kind of position and stance. They have been going into Georgia, and you could make a case that the two biggest commitments, not including Diabell, of the last two recruiting classes are defensive players that they took away from Georgia and took them in. And I think the thing that's really important about both of those situations is that if you're Kirby Smart in Georgia, you probably have to shrug your shoulders and say, hey, we've got the number one recruiting class in the country right now, right? We do. Mm-hmm. We're doing good. But this may have been an instance, like with Justice Terry last year at defensive tackle, where Texas wanted him a little more than we did. There are consequences for the transactions that are taking place these days. We've talked about it with Tech and Felix Ojo. We've talked about Jamarian Carlton, and where Texas was like, whoa, don't know that we're going to go up to $1 million on a guy or close to it on a guy that might not even see the two deep until 2028 at a position we've recruited really, really well at. Well, this is a position where Texas is looking for instant impact guys. And the thing is, this is also the beginning of, we all know that they will have had to go quite a distance to pull this kid from Georgia. We know none of us could be naive as to believe that this will be inexpensive on either the revenue sharing standpoint or NIL or however the dots connect to get him whatever that they said they're going to get him. And Texas wanted this kid a little bit more than Georgia did. Full stop. Full stop. It's going to be that way with other guys. There will be guys in this commitment class that Georgia has commitments from right now where the answer is, why did they pick Georgia? And the answer will be because Georgia wanted them a little bit more than the other schools did. Nod, nod, wink, wink. Texas has lost a few of those in the last couple of weeks. And people have been like, bah, humbug. What does this mean for recruiting? Are we doomed? Why are they getting outbid for everybody? And it's like, well, no, they didn't. And they're not. Like, what we're seeing is what Georgia did today with Tyler Atkinson for different reasons is what Texas has had to do in the last couple of weeks with some dudes they really wanted. It's not that they didn't want Felix Ojo. They just weren't going to make that type of financial commitment to a guy that they know isn't going to play next year. One of the things that makes this kid unique, I personally don't think he just steps into Anthony Hill's position and takes it. That being said, he's sideline to sideline. He is a bad dude at linebacker. He is. Someone asked me to compare him to Malik Jefferson because Malik was number one linebacker in the country, number one linebacker in Texas back in 2015, obviously played at Texas. Controversial career, right? Because he's an All-American and Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year as a junior, but ends up being a third-round draft pick or fourth round, whatever it was. And most people tend to look at his career as a little bit of a bust. I think Atkinson is a better football player than Malik Jefferson ever was. And Malik is a little bit more dynamic athletically. That doesn't mean that Malik wasn't a great football player in high school, and it doesn't mean that Atkinson's not a hell of an athlete with tremendous closing speed and burst. It just means I think those two guys are slightly different in terms of skill and raw talent. The thing that I suppose I would toss out there is that if we think back on Malik Jefferson and what we wish we could change about Malik just a smidge, right? We lived that career. We saw that whole thing play out. You'd probably have wished he was a little bit better of a player and a little bit less of an athlete. That if you could concede one thing for the other, there was a little bit of like waiting for the – Malik as a sophomore was getting taken off the field and complicated career. He wasn't just a guy that came in and was like, well, why is he playing? Because he's the most badass football player that they have on the team. Atkinson has a little bit of that. What I don't think that Atkinson might automatically be is like first round, top of the draft type of talent. You look at historically, Chad, I did this today because I'm such a nerd. I went back and I looked at every linebacker. Now, from the state of Texas, I did not look up Georgia. Who knows? Maybe I'll do that tomorrow.
Maybe. I like how you threw the maybe in. You know you're looking at that tomorrow. Come on.
Because the OCD will kick in and I'll
Yeah, I know you. We didn't just meet. You're going to look at that tomorrow, Mr. Rabbit.
Tomorrow, I'll probably start working on it during the show.
Yeah, you will.
Of the linebackers since 2002 that were ranked as 4 stars or 5 stars in the Rivals rankings from the state of Texas, 12 guys have made it, which is not a lot. And I looked at the physical profiles of all 12. And Atkinson's profile is perfect. It's right in the sweet spot of if these guys are going to make it, this is what they physically look like.
All right, lay it out.
Robinson's a good example. Kenneth Murray, almost picture perfect. In fact, if you want to know what it looks like if Tyler Atkinson hits, that's the guy. If his best case scenario is that he's Kenneth Murray in every sense of the word, and that means he would be a first-round draft pick because that's what Murray's the only guy in 20 years that was a 4 or 5-star linebacker from the state of Texas that ended up being a first-round draft pick. Also, Murray falls into that sweet spot. I think he was 6'2", 210, 212, something like that. I have to go back and look on Murray. I literally looked at it earlier today. But this was a big one. This was one I had heard that Atkinson was, along with Lamar Brown, the 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball that Sarkisian had a real jonesing for. Every time these guys went someplace else, and this was really about Lamar Brown. Lamar Brown kept not showing up. Tyler Atkinson was present in Austin a lot.
Yeah.
But there was always a sense that, well, look, and I think Texas still feels this way, and I just feel like they feel like this has been decided. But who knows? Long way till December, I suppose. Although who knows? Maybe contracts get signed. It's a different era. And we'll see how transparent. Felix Ojo's agent was like, this dude signed his contract 5 minutes ago. He signed, sealed, and delivered. I don't think Jamarian Carlton's same thing. In fact, there's discussion of would he get flipped later in the process because contracts haven't been signed. And I know my Texas sources believe that in December, a lot of dudes are going to find out the hard way that money they thought they were going to get isn't going to be present. And Texas feels like they'll be just sitting there waiting to potentially have some people fall into their arms. I think that, when you look at this situation, they were saying when it comes to December, we might Justice Terry it with Lamar Brown and Tyler Atkinson. Those are the 2 guys that when we get to December, if we're going to go big with NIL, those are the 2 guys I think they felt that I kind of had an indication for months that it almost doesn't matter what happens early. We're going big or going home late with those 2 guys. I don't think it's happened with Lamar Brown yet, and who knows? Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe that one just was not going to happen. They'd need to get that kid back on campus, and that hasn't happened. Like, there'd be a long way to go there. Atkinson's such a different kind of recruitment, and who knows, maybe things got expedited, because I think there is a real sense from Georgia of, we've done as much as we're going to do on the finance part, and Texas has got the better offer and the better deal. And oh, by the way, he really wants to play for Sark, and he loves Austin, and he loves Anthony Hill, and he loves Derek Johnson. And it's more than just money, but we can't be naive and pretend that, just like with a lot of these other guys that we've been talking about. I made this joke, and then I'll shut up, Chad. Someone asked earlier today, when he announces for Texas, will Georgia fans cry and complain that it was about the money? And I'll go, yeah, because that's what losers do in recruiting these days. Every single battle that you lose, you just say that the other team spent more. And you know what? Sometimes they do. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. It's not, it has to be one or the other. Sometimes the other team did spend more money. We saw it with Texas and Justice Terry a year ago. Like, literally, Georgia was like, you got to be shitting me. Because they had other five-star defensive tackles that you do one, you got to do them all. And then what about all of your other five stars? And they just couldn't. We saw it with Fasusi. We saw it with Carlton. Like, sometimes the other schools do spend more. And then sometimes, like with Michael Fasusi, that is not why the kid decided to go elsewhere. Sometimes we saw it with DeCorian Moore. And this is the perfect recruitment of Texas. Really did go toe-to-toe with Oregon financial-wise for DeCorian Moore. And that kid just wanted to go to Oregon. And, like, it's just easier to pretend that Phil Knight money whipped that kid than it is to sometimes say these things can be even and they just didn't want to go to your school. So, yes, guys, we're going to do that thing. That's what Georgia fans are. Georgia has the number one recruiting class in the country right now. They have the number one roster in college football. And their fans today are complaining because Texas money whipped Tyler Atkinson, and they went a little further than they were willing to go. And we just have to, like, laugh at the absurdity of Texas and Georgia and Oregon and Ohio State fans daring to have the audacity to do this. Have enough self-awareness next time. Next time Felix Ojo goes to Texas Tech, have enough self-awareness to go, but we did get Tyler Atkinson from Georgia like 7 days later, right? So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's always true in life, Chad. Come on, guys.
All right, let's let catch his breath. By the way, don't worry about it, Catch. While you were talking, like 200-300 people jumped in. So you take a breath. Let's reset. Let's thank some great partners of ours, and let's thank you guys. No super chats yet, but if you want to throw a super chat in, it goes right to the top of the list. Let's start with those 4 logos across the top. The third one down the line is Texas Card House, and they are the sponsor of the 12 o'clock show each and every day. They're one of our traveling sponsors for SEC Media Days to get the crew to Atlanta, and they're the folks that bring you this great deal. You mentioned Orange Bloods when you check in at a Texas Card House, 1 month free club membership and 2 hours of free poker play. There are the 6 locations around the great state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6 locations around the great state of Texas. One's close to Catch. One's pretty close to me where we've done the watch parties. And there's probably one close to you. They also have online poker at hijackpoker.com. You can scan that QR code, get to playing online poker. Again, all across the great state of Texas. Got to be in Texas for this to work, not the state of Georgia. It does not work. Like some other things today, it does not work in the state of Georgia. Hijackpoker.com. Get that app on any device that you want. Shout out to them for being a great partner of ours. Also, shout out to Hay City Store, Taste on Main. I'll tell you a little more about Hay City coming up. And big thanks to Specs, which brings you the Specs chat, which leads me back to this. Over 1,300 of you have jumped into the Specs chat, and we're not even technically on yet because it's not 12 o'clock while we're talking. We jumped in early because Tyler Atkinson went on in the early part of the McAfee show and announced that he is going to Texas. All right. So if you want to throw in, again, a super chat, it'll go right to the top of the list. Catch, I do not see a super chat, but I did want to get you to react to this because fans, when they hear these kind of things, they get a little greedy. So Esrone fired in while you were talking, who's next? And then Tim fired off a Cooper is next. So any thoughts on where this might lead us? And maybe a thought on Derek Cooper?
This is so interesting because it's not the who's next question.
Okay.
That I think's really interesting. And yes,
right.
I think Derek Cooper is the obvious answer because Chad asked who's next after who's next.
Who's next after who's next, Catch?
Man, I ain't got a goddamn clue.
And we know that Cooper's going to decide on Sunday. So that's probably why. Yeah, okay.
Signing day's not till December. And we've reached a point in the 2026 recruiting class where really Onwar asked, hey, do you have any questions for Sark? And I said, yeah, man, ask him on the record if they're planning on this roster going up to 105. Because if they are, and they're planning on those scholarships being used by non-walk-ons who get gifted scholarships, like if they're trying to do what Ohio State and Michigan and Nebraska have done, which is we might not even have walk-ons. We'll just see. We'll see how many scholarships we can give out. If Texas is going to take that approach, I don't know who in the hell they're going to go after in recruiting because it is dry as a bone after Chad, I'm not saying that they've listened to me. Not be so vain as to take the glory for what's occurring. Okay. What I will say is, if you've watched me on the YouTube channels, if you've read me on Orange Bloods, you've watched me do one show, you've seen me do 300. I have been talking about for years. The strategy should be going all out for top end talent. And the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing every single person watching this video that some 4-star kid out of Dallas who's a Rivals 250 guy is worth anything at all. That those are the last guys that you should be overly concerned about. They just are 3 stars with good press agents. And Texas this year in recruiting, and you could see it in the Rivals rankings that were updated yesterday. And you can see it in the state of Texas rankings and the Rivals rankings when we said, well, Texas only has 3 of the top 38 kids committed in the state of Texas. And it was like, how many are uncommitted? 2. Oh, So not taking a lot. Texas is focusing on super blue chips, high 4 stars and 5 stars. And they are not going after what they typically would recruit 15 guys like. 15 guys that are Rivals 250 type guys. They're not doing that this year. They're really not. So what happens when they get to, if they're going to 105, where's that talent coming from? Because if they changed their mind and said, well, okay, now we know that we're going to go after 105 and we do need a bunch of those guys, that's millions of dollars in NIL that they don't want to spend. That's why they're not doing it. Because why would you recruit some Rivals 250 guy that's going to cost you $300,000 a year each year for 3 years? And you don't know if that guy can even get off your third team.
Right.
You got to pay that guy $1 million to find out if he can even get on your 2 deep.
He'll play in non-conference games in September for sure.
And Texas, I think, and look, this is all new. They're making this up as they go. They didn't think 6 weeks ago, we're not going to get Ojo, we're not going to get Carlton, we're not getting, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's not like this is automatically the plan. This is the plan as they go, maybe through sheer forced into it, but also I think there's been an awakening. They're not going after the guys that I would say are the riskiest, and certainly the riskiest purchases that you can make. It's way riskier in college football to buy 4 guys at $250,000 a year than it is to buy one for $1 million. I promise you, the guy with $1 million comes with way more of a guarantee on the box than the guys at 250. The value shopping's tough. It's tough. And when you think about how does an 85-man get roster where predominantly the most of the revenue shares go into the top end of the food chain on the depth chart, it means most of the other 85 is not going to be on big deals. Texas knows that. They're preparing for that. And now I just want to know how in the hell they actually get to that once they need to get to that.
We got our first super chat of the show. We appreciate you, Oscar. If I can get it, there it is. Oscar $4.99. Can we all now officially relax and trust Sark? Oscar, I think there were a lot of people already there in that. So catch to the point you just made. If a Texas fan is thinking, okay, is this why? Like if they had gone after the money that Carlton was interested in, the money that Brown was interested in, hell, the money that KJ Edwards was interested in at that exact moment, probably means they can't do what they did today, right?
Oh, I think so. You might even be able to make a case that the Ojo money freed this up. Because look.
Right. Maybe I should have started with Ojo, but yes, that kind of stuff.
Ojo and Carlton, like whatever Texas has had inside of its budget. I promise you they've had money, and they may still say we have the Ojo money. Maybe we spent the Carlton money, but if we can find a left tackle, we got $1 million. I don't know what the number is, but whatever that number is, maybe they've said we're going to hold on to that. But there's only a limited amount of resources. And I think the big thing is everybody needs to realize the Texas strategy in recruiting this year. And will this be the strategy every year? I don't think they're making any decisions on 2027, 2028, 2029 until some of the dust clears from this wild-ass 2025 year that will impact 2026. This is just unlike anything college athletics will ever see again. And it's impossible to say 12 months from now it will look exactly in 12 months like it looks today. They just can't. So they're approaching this class and they're saying our top 6 to 8 guys will put up against anybody's 6 to 8 guys in college football and recruiting. Georgia, whoever your top 8 guys are, we'll take our 8 guys, your 8 guys. Let's have an 8 versus 8 recruit off. We like our guys. What did I say earlier this week on Monday? I think the dynamics may have changed a little bit. There were only 8 unanimous super blue chips who've committed to the Big 5 talent acquiring schools. Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon. Going into the week, only 8 had officially committed anywhere. Texas had 3 of the 8. Tyler Atkinson makes that number at least 9, and now they have 4. Like Texas is acquiring the high end of the high end guys, not all of them. It's going to be impossible. And it is possible that had they gone in after Ojo, maybe this means that Atkinson's a guy they have to wait till December to go real big on. Like, again, there's just a lot of moving parts at all times on this. Texas is going to say when this thing's all said and done, we like our 8, best 8, better than anybody else's best 8 in the country. 9 through 25, no. Because they're not going to spend the money. In the old days, 9 through 25 might have been nothing but rivals 250 guys. We've seen it a million times. It's like, how many guys did you sign? 23. How many of them were in the rivals 250? 19. It's like, how many of them were super blue chips? And it was like 2. And it was like, oh, so it's one of those fake awesome classes where
quantity. Maybe
4
not.
stars everywhere. But like how How many Tyler Atkinsons did you have? Not a lot. Texas is like, we're going to get 6 to 8 Tyler Atkinsons.
Yeah.
And we're not going to load up on this other. And what is it going to mean? I think it's going to mean at the end of the year, you're not going to be able to look at the Texas recruiting class and look at where it's positioned in the national rankings and say, Texas successfully did what they wanted to do. Because I don't think they're going to be top 5. I don't think they're going to have enough, let's say they're going to have enough elite prospects that on the surface you would say, that's top 5 class. I don't think they're going to take enough of the regular old basic Perina Chow 4-star guys that really make for how does a number 1 class get built. You have to have the elite of the elite guys, but you have to have volume for days. And I think Texas is waving the white flag on volume. They're looking at their roster and saying, how many guys can we sign that can actually get on the field in less than 2 years? How good do you have to be now to get on the field by 2027? And I think they're just saying, because there was a difference, Chad, between we think we can turn this guy that nobody's recruiting into a badass. But it's another thing to say, can you do it in 18 months? Because if you don't, he's going to transfer. Or you're going to pay more than $500,000 or more to like waste. You're just wasting it away. And Texas is, and I'm not saying it's the perfect plan. That's the thing, Chad. Who knows? Who knows? People have tried to get me to explain Alabama's plan. How does Alabama have as many guys that they have on their roster and they've taken 6 5-stars or whatever it is? And it's like, I have no idea. I don't know. I can tell you what the money's going to look like. I have no idea what they're prioritizing. Maybe Alabama is doing the same thing Texas is, which is, hey, our top 10 guys, put them up against anybody's. But our final 10 guys, we're not going to like break our necks over. And I think that's the difference that Texas fans have had to adjust to. And I think we'll be talking about it for months, Chad, because this is one of the first videos. I don't know that other people are having these videos that other people watch on other channels. I don't know if their storytelling matches our storytelling. I don't know. This is all happening in such real time. We're adjusting on the fly. This is what it looks like. But what I'm telling you is once you get past Derek Cooper, they're recruiting that big, the Kroll kid, the defensive lineman. Mm-hmm. They're still in on him. There's a few national elite guys that are still kind of petering about in their recruitments. I think we're done. Other than let's get to December, and does Texas look at what they've got in their budget and go, you know what? We really do need a left tackle. And they go pull a Justice Terry with somebody. Mm-hmm. Like there's a new 5-star that's committed to Utah. Now, right. Utah's got a lot of revenue share, and they might say, we are not ever, they may say, we'll do the Felix Ojo deal and then some, because 5-stars don't come out of our state very often, and we're not losing him. But Texas may say at the end of this, who do we want to Justice Terry? Is it a linebacker? If they don't get Derek Cooper, is it a running back? Is it Derek Cooper? Could he commit to Miami, but then, in December, Texas is like, you know what? Turns out Trey Wisner's going pro. Turns out CJ Baxter isn't quite the guy that we hoped he would be coming off of injury. None of the freshmen stepped up. Let's go Justice Terry, Derek Cooper. I think that these are it's just recruiting us. Everybody has to recalibrate the way they talk about every single recruitment. Because even today with Atkinson, there are follow-up questions. It's like, at some point, we've got to ask Atkinson, have you signed a contract with Texas yet? Because if he has, that changes the conversation in a way that we've never followed in recruiting. That would basically tell Georgia, oh, well, then just give up. If Felix Ojo's told you we have signed our contract with Texas Tech, Is there language in the contract that if you break the contract, you have to pay a big fine? Like, is there a big financial penalty? Right. Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, I was going to. Yeah, because if there's not, why in the world would the agent have put it out that quickly? There's got to be something ironclad in there.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be.
Texas Tech is like, we're not giving you this money and then getting played.
Right, because then what you should do, I guess, if the deal can be structured this way, is you put some kind of a, like, it'll cost, maybe make it a buyout type of feel, right?
Well,
it's going to cost you this much.
Is different, I don't know what Georgia's NIL rules are. Texas literally changed them in the last month.
Right.
So it's like some guys can sign right away. Until literally the last month, if you did that in the state of Texas, you would lose your eligibility. That's why Quinn Ewers went to Ohio State a year early.
Right. Yep.
Because the UIL was like, we're not going to let you make $1 million on your name, image, and likeness. And he was like, the hell you're not.
Yeah, somebody else will. If you won't.
If you won't, let me tell you, the Ohio State University will.
Yep. They don't like the letter M, but the $sign they're fine with. So I'm headed up there. Yeah. I'm going there. Yeah.
And what did Quinn Ewers do? He went to Ohio State for 5 minutes. Why? So he could get that cheddar.
Yeah.
And who could be mad at him?
I know.
Chad would transfer to Timbuktu you right now. If it was like, hey, Chad, by January, they'll have 7 figures in your checking account.
All right.
Oh, man, he's like, honey, Wendy, I don't know if you've heard about Timbuktu, but I hear it is gorgeous in the winter.
They have a great town square. Over 1,600 of you in the Specs chat. We appreciate that. Also a reminder, SEC Media Days. You see the logo at the top. Thanks again to Hayes City Store, Taste on Main, and Texas Card House for being the traveling sponsors. As we talk to you right here at 12 o'clock, we're still 2 hours plus away from Sark. Sark's going at 2:15 Central Time today, just to get your schedule straight. Arch is speaking to the assembled media, oh boy, at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And our guys on the scene, Anwar, Alex, and Cody, are all going to be there checking it out, and they will have live reaction at some point in the afternoon. My guess would be a 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that. But like, subscribe, get your notifications. You'll find out immediately, just like you found out about us going on early. You'll find out about when they go on, because it's going to be a huge day in Atlanta. I see those super chats. We will get to those. We got all kinds of great partners to thank as well, and I can't get the damn thing to work. There it is. Let's talk old sinus and snoring specialist. Hey, Texas fans, how you breathing? How you feeling after Tyler Atkinson? Probably pretty damn good. But if you've also got allergies that go with it, and if you've got sleep apnea and snoring that can't be solved by a badass 5-star choosing Texas, this is the place that can help you. Sinus and snoring specialist, the very latest in ear, nose, and throat. I went in there in 2017, and I've never regretted it for a day. 601-0303. Text or call them securely there, or go to sinussnoringent.com. I've told you they added another doctor to the practice. So Dr. Slaughter is there. Dr. Salvador is there as well. He's got over a decade of experience. Dr. Slaughter's got over 20 years. They now have more appointment times for you. So check them out and tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. Feel clear, rested, and healthy with sinus and snoring specialist, breathing a little bit better with Tyler Atkinson in your 2026 recruiting class. All right, Catch.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I had somebody last week bring up snoring and sinus.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, they're letting me know they were having sleeping problems. And then they told me that they made an appointment with snoring and sinus.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, oh, you mentioned Chad, right? That you've seen us talk about it on the show a million times? And they were like, no, I didn't bring it up. I was like, you watch us you're literally one of our most dedicated viewers.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't tell them that you literally have heard chat. Like,
it would help.
It didn't come up.
It would help. It would help.
Like, I go, don't they ask you on a form how you heard about it? Like,
how did you hear about us? Orange Bloods Live, or my name.
You know what he told me?
Huh.
And to be fair, I could not argue with him on this point. So, Chad,
Okay.
I will not say his name on the air because I don't want him to because this is going to make him sound a certain kind of way, but I do understand.
Uh-huh.
He was like, I don't know, man. My wife checked me in.
Oh, here we go. Wife checked him in. Hey, wives, make sure, husbands, tell your wives to mention my name or mention Orange Blood Live.
Because my wife has checked me into a doctor's appointment or 5. I have to admit, like
it does happen.
Does happen.
Yep, it does happen. There's no doubt about it. Shout out to that guy. Hope everything gets fixed at Sinus.
Shout out to the wives out there who are just make sure you fill in the part where it's like, how'd you hear about us?
Yeah, shout out to that. Please let us know. Also, shout out to my man E Reigns. What up, E Reigns? I know he's happy about Tyler Atkinson picking Texas. Let's go to these super chats because we got 2 of them. And actually, you know what? Let's just start with this one. Just a nice one from Hank. $4.99, just putting it in the tip jar. Thank you, Hank. We appreciate you. If you had something specific you want to ask about, go ahead and do that. Our man ATX Bates has something specific at $4.99. Of the true 5-star super blue chips that are committed, is there 2 or 3 in particular that you'd suggest Texas go steal? What a strong word. Some programs' cornbread.
Yeah, no, I think this is an easy one. I mean, look, I don't think it's even necessarily a particular position. I mean, a player, because, you know, I think it's more position related. And it's why I think Sark does a good job of this. Justice Terry last summer was not the answer to the 5-star defensive tackle question. So the answers in December are the only answers that matter. So when I look at it here, it's not a specific player. I think Cooper is a good example of this. It's not Cooper to me specifically that, and maybe Steve Sarkisian would argue with me to some degree. I mean, I think we're crossing territory here a little bit. It's not him specifically as much as it's the idea. If you look at this position, in theory, where do they need impact players next year? If we project who we think comes back, quarterback, no, they're good. I mean, even if you thought Arch would go pro, they've got Diabell. So like they couldn't do more at quarterback. You look at wide receiver and it's pretty deep. I mean, they're not, if DeAndre Moore has a super season, he could go pro, but everybody else has to come back. Ryan Wingo, all those freshmen, they're all coming. They're pretty deep at receiver. Tight ends 1. Mm-hmm. And we could argue in the face about what Nick Townsend is no guarantee on the box at this point. He's just a true freshman that hasn't even been in practice yet. He was not one of the midterm guys. We know that they've got a young player in Jordan Washington that they're kind of excited about, but there's no guarantee Mark Bowman on the box that they've recruited, that they've landed. Mark Bowman, $2.8 million a year, reportedly, tight end, committed to USC. So hold that thought. I don't know that it matters who the tight end is. It's about what he is. Can you find that kind of tight end wherever he may be, whatever his name may be, wherever he may live? And can you outspend, in this case, probably not, $2.8 million for Mark Bowman? Like USC kind of planted their flag there and said, come after us. And I don't think anybody's going to come after them on that one. Offensive line, it's tricky. And this is just a separate conversation that we've talked about on this show. It feels like a lot in the last few weeks. I don't know the answer to what do you pay an offensive lineman, elite of the elite in NIL, when you don't think he's a guy that's going to play right away. I think if Kelvin Banks and Felix Ojo were in the same recruiting class, Texas would look at Kelvin Banks and said, that guy plays for us next year, we'll pay anything. Mm-hmm. And I think they look at Felix Ojo and they go, Jesus, we love that kid. But he probably isn't playing for us next year. Yeah. Maybe not even the next year. Now, maybe 3 years after that, we get a bunch of badass play, but maybe not right away. And there's just a different level of conversation. If you could find a Kelvin Banks, where are those guys? And, once every 25-year players, you can find Kelvin Banks, who's that guy for A&M? Which of those studs played as a freshman, Chad?
I mean, Jokel and Matthews both had to, and both by the end of the year they were pretty badass, so they both played.
So they were both. If we were having a conversation about, because the answers may be both, but it's like they just happen to occur at the same time. If we were to expand that out, a generation of offensive linemen, we'd be talking about those two guys basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because one of those guys had to go to the right side because they had to play at the exact same moment. But theoretically, they both were that guy.
So, and they ended up being first round. You know what I mean? Like,
and they both ended up being damn good,
as Kelvin Banks did, right?
Exactly.
But those guys just don't grow on trees. And literally, we could quibble about whether or not Justin Blaylock could have done it, but he didn't. We could quibble about back in the day, could Mike Williams have done it? Maybe. Leonard Davis? I don't think so. They were playing him on both sides of the ball as a freshman. Really, the number of guys that can come in as freshmen. And the thing is, Chad, the question again, and this is the one that Texas, I got to be honest, you guys don't like it that I like soccer. Y'all don't. And y'all hate it when I talk soccer. But there's a lesson that I've learned in following soccer. My team, Chad, Liverpool, is really good. Mm-hmm. They're the defending English champions. They're one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win the Champions League this year. And fans want their teams to just buy players. It's like free agency, right? If you're not doing anything in free agency, well, if you're not growing, it's like, well, if you're not accelerating or getting bigger, you're going backwards or whatever. You're not moving forward, you're going backwards. One of the things I've learned is like to buy a player, if you're at Liverpool, means you have to buy a player who's good enough to be one of the best players in the world that's better than the player that's already there. Mm-hmm. It's hard. I watched Arsenal do it this summer. It's hard to find guys that are better than the guys you already have. And if you can, they're stupid expensive. That's what it's like right now at Texas. It's what do you need in 2026? And can you even find it? And there are a couple of it. Linebacker is one of the 2026 answers. And I think Tyler Atkinson's part of the answer of, well, look, if we could use a guy next year to come in and be an absolute badass, say National Freshman of the Year caliber at linebacker, is there a guy that could maybe do that? Maybe it's him. And so remember Colin Simmons, I don't think technically started a game last year. Derek Johnson, as a true freshman at Texas, never officially started a game. Not even the damn Holiday Bowl. They made that dude come off the bench as the best player on the team, and he still won the Holiday Bowl MVP in 2001 as a backup linebacker. Like, there's a lot of ways that a guy can just be a total badass. That may be the way that they look at Tyler Atkinson. Are there other positions where that could happen? I don't know. I don't think defensive tackle is the answer. Edge, no. And if they do, Richard Wesley would be, in theory, that guy. Corner, safety, no. I think it's tight end. I think it's left tackle. And I think you would still say linebacker, Chad, in the sense of if Atkinson's not really the like for like that replaces Anthony Hill, that maybe he's the eventual upgrade over LaFau. Think about it like that, potentially. Mm-hmm. Then you could still argue that you still need the Hill replacement. And maybe as early as next year, I think that's where the portal potentially comes into play. I think with each of these big 3 needs, I think the attention for Texas turns to, do we lose Jack injuries? If we do, got to go get somebody in the portal, period. Right. Period. Left tackle, I think they'll do the same thing. Linebacker, Chad, I think they'll do the same thing. I think there are a couple of positions when we get to December where they may say, who do we Justice Terry this year? And the answer may be a guy in the portal.
Yeah. And then on that defensive front, you'd probably tell Texas fans, don't look for a late, big attempt to flip, say, Lamar Brown or Jamarion Carlton because of the depth they already have.
Now, Lamar Brown may be so good that he's an exception.
Okay.
Right? If Tommy Harris were in the state of Texas all these years later, or Ed Oliver. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, if you can get that kind of talent, if you think he's that, and you can pull him away from LSU right there in Baton Rouge, man, I'd do it.
Like, who do you think that guy is? He might be Ashawn Robinson. It's like, okay.
Really?
Now look, that guy might not start next year because Texas Murad Watson told his coach he got $1 million. That's what Murad Watson's coach told us. Like, something made that guy go into the portal and not take visits and transfer to Texas, even though they took 4 other defensive tackles. You tell me.
Nice job, Murad.
He's only a sophomore. They've got Justice Terry, right? They've got Alex January coming back. They've got 2. They got Hero Kanu, the transfer from Ohio State, who's just a junior this year. Lavon Johnson, another Big Ten incoming transfer, a guy that's played a lot of football. They've got 8 defensive tackles on the roster this year, scheduled to come back next year. Now, some of those guys might go to the portal, but the guys that go to the portal will almost certainly be the guys that lose the battle. It will be, well, why did you go into the portal? Because Murad Watson was the starter and Justice Terry was a starter, and I couldn't get in front of Alex January, and Melvin Hills ended up being good. And that stuff will sort itself out. But Texas is finally in a position where you could argue it would be really difficult next year for a freshman defensive tackle, even a Tommy Harris. And maybe Tommy Harris could, but they may be good enough next year at defensive tackle that maybe that guy would just be a backup, at which point maybe you can't justify it would cost us $2 million, I think. That's the bottom line with Lamar Brown. You're going to spend $2 million on that guy? And they may decide in December, Jesus Christ, we literally think he's Warren Sapp reincarnated. We have to.
Yeah.
But they may also say, man, we got to pick our poisons. And so-and-so wants to come back for another season, but if we don't pay him 1.7 and he made 100,000 this year, we're going to lose him to the portal. And I think that's the other thing when we talk about Texas isn't spending its resources on these basic 4 stars. They know that roster retention when this season is over, and if they either get to a national semifinal or beyond, y'all just need to know they went through that. It is a bear. None of these other schools have really done it yet. Where Georgia's done it and Ohio State's done it, and some of these schools have. But most of Texas Tech has never done this before, where when the season is over, it's like Eddie Murphy and Raw in the divorce portion of that, where it's like, half, Eddie, I want half. And
you mentioned a power team earlier, Catch. Utah. That's a team that's probably never had to deal with that kind of stuff, right? Do they have some good players? Of course they do. But that kind of retention level, they probably don't even know what it's like.
Chad, every single good player they have is like, knock, knock.
Right.
What are you doing for me if they're not being proactive, right? Mm-hmm. You would hope your school's being proactive and is telling all their players, hey, we got it. You don't have to come to us. We're working on it. But if they don't, every good player is going to knock on the door the next day and go, I made 87 tackles this year. I was second team all Big 12. You just paid a linebacker in the portal $500,000. I want $750 or I'm going to go check out the portal. And oh, by the way, my agent tells me there have been 6 schools that have told him they'll give me $1 million.
Yeah. So that was another little detail of Tyler Atkinson today that just didn't exist back in the day, Catch, is when the guy on the TV talk show, Pat McAfee, says, yeah, the agent reached out to me and said, yeah, I got a kid who's ready to commit. Like, it was just so modern. I'm like, oh my God.
I think that was his agent that was in the burnt orange.
Mulligetta? Is that his name?
I don't know. I swear. Somebody tell me in the chat.
Yeah.
Because Chad and I were watching it, and they kept going wide in the studio, and there's just one guy sitting by himself, not with the family, but about 10 feet away from the family.
Hopefully that's not the agent, man. You can't give that away. You can't walk in wearing the colors. Let the kid have his hat moment.
It looked like he was in a burnt orange sweatshirt. And I go, well, because, like if you were going to do that, you were like, oh, well, I'm not going to be in the shot because I'll give it away. So you get back.
Yeah.
He's the official get back coach. which you
Right.
could have never have thought was they would go so widescreen.
Yeah, but now, hey, to be fair, you're also talking about the McAfee show. They admit on their crawl, like, we're a bunch of stooges. One of those guys might have said, hey, somebody's wearing burnt orange, huh? Like, it could have happened too. You and I would do that if you had set it up like in your room right there, and some kid comes to the Woodlands and you saw someone standing. Hey, by the way, that dude's got burnt orange. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like, we would have ruined it. Come on. Would have been great.
It's true. We would have totally ruined it.
It was fantastic. By the way, thanks for this super chat from Mark. Out and about today, $5. Taking a break in Rockport, Port A. Enjoying the great news and early HD. Thank you, Ketch and Chad, for all you do with the emoji. Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to hear from you. Great to meet you recently, and hope you're safe travels today. Checking out in Rockport. If you guys want to throw in a super chat, feel free to do it. Tyler Atkinson picks Texas today on the McAfee show. Just big prime time, thing in the middle of an SEC media day, which is incredible. That guy was part of Pat's show. Is what
He's still had burnt orange on.
And that's what I was about to say, Catch, is we all know that at so many sporting events, the burnt orange hat, the Longhorn logo, burnt orange shirts are everywhere. That was another thing I was about to say is, who knows? It might just be somebody that's associated with the show that wants to show the fandom and say, hey, I hope he picks Texas. So that maybe ends up being what it was. All right. I see that super chat. Jordan, we will get to your super chat as well, I promise. But first, I'm going to see if I can make y'all hungry. Hay City Store is one of our traveling sponsors for SEC Media Days. And Travis and Tamara,
so good, Chad.
I think they're in Atlanta right now. But if you go to Driftwood, to Hay City Store, you can get you a batch of these bad boys.
Oh.
If you're a burger and onion ring person, because I can be both. But sometimes that's what you're in the mood for. A burger, and can I drag an onion ring through some ketchup? If that's where you find yourself, go find yourself at Hay City Store. Get the bacon jam burger and those onion rings, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to want to rinse and repeat. They are incredible, thick, big-ass, sweet onions, and then the breading is incredible. Every detail, I'm telling you, is the best you've ever had, or it's damn close. That's how good this stuff is. Go have a burger and onion rings, and then try to tell me I'm wrong. Hay City Store, FM 150 in Driftwood. They do everything from scratch. The desserts are amazing, but if you love yourself some onion rings, go on out there. Travis sent me this picture a couple weeks ago, and I just stare at it sometimes. I just stare at those damn onion rings. So get out to Hay City Store. And oh, by the way, tell them you heard about it right here on Orange Bloods Live. That'd be good. Don't be like that other person Ketch is talking about. Spread the word. Stop your waiter or waitress. Hey, I heard about it on Orange Bloods Live. Yeah, I heard the guys talk about it. Make sure you mention that. That does help us out. That does help us out. All right, I think we have cleaned up almost all those super chats, but Jordan, thank you for a 20 spot. Hang on. Where is it? There it is. $19.99 and gives me some reading material. I love Texas loading up on five-star talent, even when it's much harder to do it. Speaking of five-star targets, did Felix Ojo really drop a star after signing with Tech, or is that my petty brain seeing it that way? Jordan, it's not just your brain. We talked about that already this week, Catch.
But that was gonna happen no matter what. Look, yes, it's your petty brain. Because
But it's also, he did go when he went to the camp and didn't have that's what
caused it. Like, the signature moment wasn't that he signed and then they because I do think there are people that think guys get downgraded once they make decisions and that they elevate guys. And look, that would be very PT boy. I'm honestly surprised that doesn't happen more often.
That'd be super petty recruiting stuff. That doesn't need to happen. I mean, come on.
No, I know, but I'm surprised it doesn't.
Yeah.
But they spent decades telling you that 4 stars matter. Why not just rig the game so that the number one guy in the country is always uncommitted?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, did you hear Lane Kiffin pretty much said Ojo without saying Ojo yesterday, where he's like, yeah, you see some of these guys that Normally they go to a 5-star. 5-star guys go to these certain schools, and all of a sudden they go to other schools, and you're like, well, how'd that happen? Well, it's got to be money, right? It's like, whoa, easy, coach.
I mean, but we're still weirded out that this is our life.
Mm-hmm.
That Lane Kiffin could say that. And honestly, that's like the 9,000th craziest thing that he said. That's just, we're so not used to hearing that non-controversial transparency still sounds pretty controversial and wildly transparent.
By the way, my favorite side controversy so far of the SEC media days is Lane Kiffin creating this weird narrative. If you play golf as a coach in the SEC, you're completely lazy. That's the narrative he somehow created this week.
They all play golf. So he must, you know what? I think that's low-key shade for everybody, Chad, and not necessarily. I think the tentacles of this, they all love to play golf.
I know, but then the day before, he literally sends out a video from a fishing boat, and he wanted us to know, hey, by the way, so y'all understand, when I went fishing yesterday, dead period. Okay? Dead period.
I just think he wants to bust some dudes up in chat.
You understand
Because they're all in like these WhatsApp groups.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, it's
God.
like
he said it. He said it about Hugh Freeze. Greg Sankey talked about Kirby Smart and playing golf today, and then all the media starts asking Freeze about golf, and like they're all getting asked about their golf game because of Lane Kiffin. It's so crazy, just so crazy. All right, so Tyler Atkinson picks Texas today. That's the big focus of the show. Thank you to Tyler Atkinson and Pat McAfee for timing it that way. Because otherwise, Ketch, we were just going to be talking a lot today about, hey, what's Sark going to say? Hey, what's Arch going to say? Because we're doing obviously the 12 o'clock show today before those guys. So thank you to Tyler Atkinson. Real quick, a phrase out of Kirby Smart's mouth today that is really interesting now. Back to your discussions about the big boys. He said today, quote, we're about relationships and not transactions. And when he said it, I thought, I wonder if that's a guy that knows he's not getting Tyler Atkinson. As soon as it came out of his mouth, I thought, that doesn't sound like a guy who just won a transactional battle.
The last people that will adjust will be the coaches. Let me tell you, Coach, I can tell you there are coaches on the Texas staff that are like, I hate it when NIL gets credit for players coming here.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
why can't it be both? Like that, you said it earlier. That's the issue here. Why can't they deal with the idea that it's gonna be both?
He just wants to go to the Yankees because they spend the most money and the most prestigious team and are in the biggest city. And it's like,
yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Ketch, do you remember when Mariano Rivera played that year for the Yankees for nothing? They just gave him hot dogs. Yeah, I don't either.
No, he paid them, Chad.
Right. Exactly. He paid them to be there. Paul O'Neill paid the Yankees to play. A lot of people don't know that. It's a hidden story. Like, come on. What are we talking about?
Of course, you got to have good relationships, and of course, it's a lot of things. We just can't do the thing where we pretend that the money's not front and center on this stuff.
Right. There's a difference between the money world coming into discussions at Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, wherever, and it being the only reason. Like, that discussion you can have, but it was funny to hear him say that. And as soon as he did, I'm thinking, if I was a Texas fan and I didn't already know what was about to happen, I would hear that as, okay. I think if I'm a Texas fan, I think immediately, I think we're getting Tyler Atkinson because it sounds like he's processing his anger. And I think that may be what he was doing.
The thing is, no program in the country enters the 2025 season with more consensus super blue chips, 5 stars and high 4 stars in recruiting and transfers, who would be top 25 according to any of the major services. Just for the record, I'm outlining what I'm talking about. Nobody has more in college football. So the thing is, guys don't always make decisions because of the school gave the most money. Oftentimes, that's not how this NIL stuff works. What can't happen is that you're just not in the game because you don't have it. Right? So, a guy's top 5 might all say, we'll give you $1 million. Like we'll all do that. Is there a school in there that is so in need of that player that they'll go way above that? And at which point the schools might go, well, we're not going to do that. There aren't a lot of recruitments where that happens. But what doesn't happen is it's like, oh, tell us about your top 5. Oh, well, there's Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon. And then I don't include Alabama, but they're in my top 5. They're separate. They're in the separate pile. It's like, well, why is Alabama in the separate pile from the other 4? Because they don't have any NIL money to pay me. So they don't get counted with the other schools. Like, you don't get in the game if you're broke.
Right. They're just giving me gift cards.
So, you just don't end up in a top 5 if you're not willing to spend the money. And then if all things are equal, it gets to be about a lot of these other things. But we don't, and this is why I said you can't get your feelings hurt when your coaches think a defensive tackle is worth $300,000 a year and another school thinks he's worth $700,000 a year. You can't get into your feelings because some kid was like, hell yeah, I'll live in Lubbock or Waco or
Because, Ketch, that's where you have to become that coach at Syracuse you talked about with Murad Watson. What did he do? Did he gripe? Did he complain? Did he bitch and moan about it? No. He said, what are you doing still sitting here? They're going to give you what? And then shake his hand and let him walk. Same thing with Jamarion Carlton, right? Young man, if that's what they're going to pay you, we salute you.
You kind of want to be.
Like, good luck in the Big 12, brother.
Sometimes finishing second and being classy when you finish second is the way to go. Because there's a world out there. I've seen some prospects who said this. They just haven't blatantly promoted it.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like, yo, I'm going to take the cash. Okay. And then when I get good, I'm transferring to a national championship contender.
Right. So don't burn the bridge. Don't pre-burn the bridge. Why are you doing that?
I'm going to go you already told me I'm not going to play for a couple of years anyway.
Right.
I'm going to go someplace where I can play.
Yeah. I'm going to go make
paid.
I'm going to go make bank. I'm going to play in a new stadium in Waco to take Carlton's example. Auburn's coming to see us the first game of the year. Now, that's not for him, but, okay, Big 12, and it's a wide open Big 12. I'll hang out for, a year, maybe 2. And then, like you said, if I need to transfer, I'm not going to lose your number.
When you guys think I'm actually good enough to start, call me. Right. Call me.
I'll be and at that point, if he's made himself into let's say he's done what injuries did. He's all Big 12. He's made himself into an all Big 12 level player. Now you're picking from a different pile of talent, and now it is proven Power 4 talent.
I think, it paid off with Quinn Ewers, right? Who was second for Quinn? Texas. He goes to Ohio State, but when it was time to transfer, everybody knew it was going to be Texas, and everybody knew why it was going to be Texas. But, it was one of those deals. Texas finished second. They're the obvious school. You see it in transfers a lot. It's where did a guy's assistant coach that recruited him go, or who finished second in their recruitment. It really does mean that the best thing that you can do with these guys, and I think it's going to require some coaches to learn to show some restraint. You got to wish these kids well, because you got to prepare yourself for. This kid might end up in the portal in 2 years, and I might want him more in 2 years than I want him today. So the last thing I'm going to do is be like, bye, bitch, right before he goes to college.
Yeah.
You're like, hey.
Exactly.
I know we didn't get you in recruiting, but I just want you to know you can call me anytime you want to. I think you are maybe the best young man that I have ever recruited in 25 years in the industry. You're the only guy I've ever recruited. And I mean this includes the 5 guys I just signed.
Mm-hmm.
You're like my son.
There it is.
And if it was up to me, I'd pay you more money than all these dudes put together.
That's a good line. If it was up to me, that's well done. Right. Hey, Dude, I got a GM back here. I got a former NFL
He's
GM.
on my ass because of some mistake somebody else made. But if it was up to me,
I can't do it the way I used to. We can't do it that way anymore.
Bo Davis. Bo Davis. Because no, Chad, we're getting this wrong. Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
Whose fault was it? Quinn.
It's Quinn's fault. Yeah.
That's what Catch does. He blames everything on Quinn.
It's Three's fault. Yep.
Arch the fault excuse for everything.
When Arch messes up an answer today, Catch is going to blame Quinn Ewers. He's going to say Quinn told him to say crap like that.
You're calling Jamarian Carlton and you're just, hey, man, I hate to throw a guy under the bus, but the dude that played quarterback here last year just screwed us up salary cap wise. We're still we got, dude, you wouldn't believe how much Arch costs. And that guy's going to turn back around and go, I read on the internet that Arch doesn't cost you anything, that his family doesn't even want money. And that's at what you go. Now, do you believe in Santa Claus too? Because let me tell you, in 2025, nobody plays for free.
I could just see the end of his second year in Waco. Jamarion Carlton's got his phone. Now, who was that guy ripping on Quinn Ewers? What was his name? Let me call that guy.
Every school will have a Quinn. In Oklahoma right now, they're like, hey, we give you money. Goddamn Jackson Arnold.
Jackson Arnold.
Jackson Arnold.
He's the guy.
And them, they'd still throw Kyler under the bus.
Oh, my God.
And Weidman. They throw everybody under the bus. And Jimbo. Jimbo would be the guy.
Yeah. Well, that's the coach you want to throw out.
Jimbo spent so much money in 2022. Then he lost them all, and we couldn't get any of the money back.
Oh, my God.
We paid $75 million for Walter Nolan, and that kid went and played at Ole Miss.
Good Lord, what the heck is going on? Don't get me started on Evan Stewart. All right, okay.
We didn't know that we should put buyouts into contracts. We didn't know that was legal.
How did we know? How did we know he was going to drive like that in a parking garage? We had no idea. We had no clue. All right. If you guys want to throw a super...
like the great Apollo Creed once said about Ivan Drago, which Ivan Drago then turned into reality against Apollo. Some folks got to find out the hard way.
The hard way. Apollo should have been doing that with a mirror in his face.
Oh, man!
The great mirror comment of all time from Apollo Creed.
Yes, Apollo. As it turns out, some people do have to find out the hard way.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Rest in peace. All right. Before we move on, maybe a little buy or sell for you.
Because you're good if you're up to 3.
Right, yeah, I know. Through three, you're good. We'll give you a little buy or sell coming up. Also, keep talking SEC Media Days because it is Sark and Arch, and for the record, Anthony Hill and Michael Taff as well.
We're not going to go on forever, though. It's been an hour and 15 minutes.
No, it has. We're going to wrap up here, but we got more content coming throughout the day. We'll remind you of that. Let me remind you about AV consultations. SEC Media Days is a great example. You're watching on the big screen, but is it big enough? It's a good screen, but is it good enough? Is it the screen you need for 46 days from now? From 46 days from when I'm talking, when Arch and the Longhorns go to Columbus? No. Make sure you got that screen. Don't get out TV'd by your brother, your aunt, your cousin, your grandmother. I told you about my boy Rick. My boy Rick got out TV'd by his brother in D.C., and it pissed him off. And he's going for 80, 85 inches this season because it drove him crazy. And he'll contact AV Consultations to do it. 255-8678. They've been doing this since 1988. So they know all the tricks of the trade. They know every question you're going to ask. They've answered them all and then some. They set up all the pluckers, all the cover threes in the Austin area. If you've been to those places, go in, check them out, and then start dreaming about what you can do at your house. 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. Be sure to tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. We do appreciate it. And why can't I hit the right button to bring Catch back? There he is. All right. He's now back. If you guys want to shoot us a quick super chat, we can do it. We are also going to get a little buy or sell going here. Real quick, Catch from Vivek. If we get Cooper with Atkinson already on board, will we be within striking range of a top 5 class?
Nope. No.
Not going to do it? This creeps them into what? The back of the top 10?
Let me see.
Maybe.
Let me see. As you guys know, we're not a part of the on-three or rivals or 24/7.
I've seen some chat. I've just seen some chatter saying maybe they snuck into like 9 or 8.
I'm gonna look. Look, the thing is, like, I think they'll get Cooper, and that's as good as it's gonna get. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not at a point where I don't think they're gonna sign, let's say, 7 or 8 more guys. And typically, when you think that, you think that all those guys are going to be, when it's Texas, you just, if I told you they're going to sign 7 more, you would just go, a couple of those guys will probably be super blues by somebody, and national 100 guys, and, national 250 guys, and at worst, like a state top 50 guy, because that's slumming for Texas typically. Really. Mm-hmm. It's slumming for A&M, really. Like if you're A&M in recruiting, it's like, well, half your guys are state 51 through 200 guys. I would turn around and go, those guys are the same value as a state top 30 guy, Ketch says. But if you were, you'd say that's not good enough. If we're trying to win the SEC, it's got to be better than that. Yeah. And it's that area where Texas is not stacking up on. We talked about this yesterday. Rivals comes out with their new Rivals 300. 38 guys in the state of Texas listed. Texas has commitments from 3. Of that 38, 2 are uncommitted. It just doesn't look like a year where I think late they're just going to decide we're going to come poach a bunch of guys in volume. They know those guys won't play. Right. And not going to bang their heads into the wall pretending that some kid out of San Antonio or Dallas or Houston that might not see the field for 3 seasons is going to see the field next year and get paid to do it.
Yeah. And remember, again, that discussion was about in-state guys. So for somebody that jumped in the chat earlier and said, okay, so now it's 5 out of – no. Atkinson is a Georgia guy, and coming up, Derek Cooper is a Florida guy. So this is going to SEC country trying to get 2 badasses. These are not Texas guys, just so you understand.
Yeah. And I think that when they do it, honestly, the one thing most of these guys that you would say that they're taking, they're showing restraint. They just are. You can look at what they've got from a commitment standpoint, go class by class. For instance, they don't have a running back commitment yet in this class. We know they want a running back, but they haven't taken anybody just to take anybody. And I think that you go position by position, they're not taking high. They took a bunch of defensive tackles. Maybe there's still a golden rule of, well, we'll just take as many defensive linemen as we can get no matter what, at which point maybe that's still, especially if you're not going to give one this year a bunch, maybe you have to take 5. And they've taken 3, and we know that they would probably take more. You look at this, they've got 1 line. Now they've got 2 linebackers. They haven't gone heavy. They got 1 safety, 3 corners, but they've added like 1 or 2 guys per position. And they just aren't going crazy. And they've got no tight ends in this class yet. We know they want a badass tight end. They've recruited all of them. But they don't have one in the class yet. They're not going to sign 5 and hope that they can hit. They haven't signed any running backs, but we know they want a badass one. It's just some real selective recruiting going on right now. And I just don't think – and look, they're sitting at 19, but 3 of those guys are specialists. So those guys count in the way that Rivals does their rankings and everything right now. But, I think when it's all said and done, it's not going to be a class that looks like the last few classes. It's going to match the last few classes in high-end talent. It's not going to match the last few classes in middle class volume 4 stars. And I just think they've decided we are completely okay with that. Completely.
All right. Before we hit buy or sell, another shout out to AV. Check this out. Iggy D says, AV hooked up my 85 with surround. It's godly. There you go. If you want a godly setup, check out AV Consultations. Iggy D, we appreciate you mentioning it. Make sure you mention Orange Bloods Live when you do. Also, big shout out to Specs. Over 1,900 of you right now in the Specs chat. Don't forget about Specs. Get all stocked up this summer.
This summer, when the sun scorches and sanity is one sweat beat away from collapse, a hero rises. Specs. Your cathedral of cold cans, your oasis of cool.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I meant make sure you go to Specs when you're getting stocked up this summer. I didn't say that right. All right, Catch. Anything else we need to hit before we buy or sell?
I would just say in the rivals rankings, Texas is, I just looked it up. They're 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 9th in the rankings. In 24/7, they're 8th. Even if they add Cooper, I think 6th or 7th is kind of maybe the apex. And unless the answer to the question of who's next after next changes significantly, I just think you're going to see more schools now close with volume. I don't think there are going to be, I'll give you an example. The schools directly behind Texas have 21, 21, 18, 20, 22, 21, 18, 23, 21, 13, 21. You know, a lot of these schools are going to go up to 30, 35 when it's all said and done. And it remains to be seen how Texas will do that. So they're going to be top 10-ish. And I think they'll be like, you know what, though? We'll take our best 8 against anybody's top 8. And if you say, well, what about your 9 through 25? They may say, we didn't even want to sign 25 this year. We didn't care. And will that be the best strategy? Like, there's no way to know. We won't know until we see how it plays out in the portal, how they fill out the rest of their roster. And then what happens? This is a first of its kind strategy. There's no way to say it's definitely the right way to go. You can absolutely intellectually explain it, but this is changing your ideology on the fly to a certain extent. And I give credit to Steve Sarkisian for being able, it seems like all the time being so easy to make changes. This is not easy stuff to convince a head coach. Well, just stop taking guys. It's like, I want them. Well, I know you want them, but they're expensive. And we need to think about retention. And a lot of these coaches are like, no, man, gimme. I'll figure out retention later. And I think Sark's been a little bit more, no, I know what retention is like. It sucks. We need as much money as we can. And if you're telling me that from a budget standpoint, we can't afford to do this for these reasons, cool. I get it. And I think it's exactly, I think, what they need to be doing. It's what I would be doing. Will it work? We'll see.
All right, Cash, you want to go first or second?
I'll go first today.
All right.
Buy or sell number 1. The next time a football fan and I'm including everybody here, in a major SEC conference program complains about another school getting a player because they spent more money, they have to go to jail for at least a couple of weeks, like real jail, not county. Like, I'm thinking they got to go to Huntsville for a couple of weeks. We have to end the insanity.
Sell, but I'm willing to talk about overnight or like a weekend stay. Not a week, but let's go like a night or two to see if we can go scared straight. Yes.
2 weekends a month. I've known people that have to check into jail on the weekends.
I would be willing to talk about that. Yeah. We'll do that. Yeah. But yeah.
We have to get to a point where there are consequences for like Texas fans going, they only got him because they got more money. Because the other thing is, like, I'm at a point where I almost want to assault people now.
No, I know. And it's all over the place. We've already had SEC Media Days is not even halfway done, and we've already had the head coaches at LSU and Ole Miss getting righteous on us, and Georgia. all got righteous so far. And it's like, what are y'all doing?
Georgia with the #1 recruiting class in the 2026 rankings, according to Rivals.com, of this very moment.
Yeah,
relationships. It's not a transactional football program. Kirby Smart wants you to know that.
Relationships and not transactions. That's what's going on in
kids are freaking paying Kirby Smart's making double. Why? Yeah. All of his kids are paying him for the opportunity. They're donating. They're like, Coach, here's what I'm going to do. I'm forfeiting my NIL to you.
Catch the secret's easy. The reason all this has been going on in Athens, football and otherwise, all the players are playing for just a free rental car. That's all they need. That's it.
You know what? I'm not. I want to, but I'm not. Buy or sell #2. You're fearful for whatever the hell Mike Elko might say at SEC Media Day on Thursday.
Buy. Last day, last team, last coach.
That's what I'm a little worried about for him.
Yeah, right. It's and what's he kind of known for so far at A&M is the brain, the mouth gets ahead of the brain. The mouth decides to do something while the brain is like, oh, wait a minute. We were just thinking that. We weren't going to say, oh, he said it. Dadgummit. I do. Yes, I am worried about it because we'll be long past Texas and Georgia and Bama. And who else goes that day?
Everybody's going to be gone.
Catch the most interesting person that will speak that day is Drinkwitz. Missouri is by far the most interesting team on his day, and Elko steps to that thing last.
And so, yes, he's going to know, like, why am I even here if I don't say something?
I am concerned that he's going to say something weird. Absolutely. I would love for him to be boring and short. Boring and quick. That's what I need Elko to be.
It's been all the stuff, Chad, that's been in my head today. There's been a little sliver reserved for what Chad's thinking Elko is going to say on Thursday.
He's going to say something that involves like the elite program in all of college football.
It's coming. What are you? I think he's probably practiced whatever he's going to say in the mirror.
Golly. I guarantee we're going to win at LSU. No. Don't say it.
I'm telling you, he's going to go out. It's our Friday show is absolutely a response to something crazy that he says.
I just hope our Friday show doesn't start like this.
Facepalm Friday. We're gonna create. That's the thing. We know in advance. Tyler, snapshot that, right?
No.
And instead of me doing like, we'll do like Facepalm Friday, and it's just you like, ugh.
Facepalm Friday. There's the new bit on the show for the season 2. Facepalm Friday.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my God.
I'm already looking forward to Facepalm Friday.
I'm concerned. I am concerned. Yes. You structured that one very well.
Buy or sell #3. You've been paying attention to all this political fuss with the new Superman movie, but it won't impact the way you watch the movie. I did not know that this was a thing.
Okay, so sell. I've already seen it. It's not going to impact the way. And it's funny, my daughter and I talked about that, I think, on the way home, but I haven't been following it. So I'm selling. I didn't realize there's an actual conversation, but I'm not surprised. Trust me, I'm not surprised after seeing it. But no, it didn't affect the way I watched the movie. I enjoyed it.
Why is #4? You know where the Texas Rangers are in the AL West standings.
I'm going to have, it's a baby buy. Do I know exactly? No, but I believe it's at least double digits back. So little B buy, what are they, like 10 or 15 out?
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked. That's why I'm asking.
The last time I peeked, I think it was 11. So I'm going to assume it's a similar neighborhood.
I saw that they played the Astros this weekend, I think. Like I saw that they played each other in the last week. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, as a fan of a team that got slaughtered by the Astros recently, I remember thinking, ain't nobody been talking about the Rangers at all this season. And I have no idea where they are.
No, and you look at the standings today and you realize me as a Braves and Rangers fan, I haven't been focused on baseball in a while.
Buy or sell #5. someone in the Arch Manning scrum today at SEC Media Day will ask a question that is so out of line that we'll commit 15 minutes to the audacity tomorrow of Arch being asked such a question.
Oh, I got to go with bye. They're in Atlanta at the College Football Hall of Fame, and he's so specific and singular. I think someone's going to flip out. Someone's going to flip out. Terry is going to ask him a wild-ass question tomorrow. I don't know if everybody's ready for Terry to ask a question that involves, like, his family, Arch's faith, and his favorite band, or, like, Billy Joel. So I don't know what's going to happen. But, yes, I'm going to buy and say there's a question so stupid that we have to talk about it. Now, Arch will deal with it. Arch is going to take the grenade, put the pin in, and throw it over his shoulder just fine. But, yes, we'll have to talk about how stupid the question was.
I was trying to think of, like, what the stupidest question that I could ask. Because the stupidest question I've ever heard at a media day, I once heard a Wisconsin student reporter once spent about 5 minutes in a build-up to a question to Joe Paterno, talking about the greatness of Ron Dane and whether or not Joe Paterno had stayed up at night worried about what Ron Dane would do to his defense this year, only for Joe Paterno to turn around and say no because they're not on the schedule. He was so nice. As much as I loathe Joe Paterno for reasons, right? I've always given him credit that he did let that kid down as gently as possible while saying the thing that needed to be said.
Because that's a step further than when Terry asked the question of Kirby Smart today about Texas, and Kirby got to say, hey, we got a lot of teams to play before we get to Texas, but Texas is on the schedule. The guy sitting there with you, that is an epic question to Jopa.
I've never forgotten it, Chad. Like, that's how much it stood out. That was 99. That was July of 99.
I'm not sure.
Like it was yesterday.
I don't know what the stupidest question is. I keep asking myself, is anybody going down the Quinn Sark road with Arch? That's the only thing I want to know. Like, that to me would be silly, but I think somebody might do it.
I wonder if somebody from, let's say, Mississippi.
Here we go.
They saw the video. I'm trying to think, what is the most uncomfortable thing that you could ask him, right? That would make everybody, like, literally think you're a cretin. I thought, what if could you ask something about girls? And I thought, no, I don't think that's it. What if somebody were to have seen that he went to St. Louis with Ryan Wingo and then said something along the lines of, oh, do you do that with a lot of your receivers? Like, did you go home with DeAndre Moore to California this year? And, like, did he take you to Compton? And then, like, that's it. The setup of, like,
just the setup.
It's like, well, that's not where he's from. But, you know what I mean? Like, it would take something really, like, oh my God, somebody did that. How did somebody do that?
That is unbelievable.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that there are so many Quinn Ewers questions that we'll never get to the absurdity of, like, so do you online date? Like, what's the dating scene? You know what I mean? Like, there's.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that one too, Catch. I think this is going to be a weird mix of, like, X's and O's football and just, how big a deal he is and can he live up to it.
These
and
people have never interviewed him before.
I think it's going to turn into Super Bowl media day just a little bit. I think there's going to be a little Super Bowl media day where people start to freak out a little.
Yes.
And John Bianco's role in this today will be fascinating to watch. When does because the time is set, and I think it's like 20 minutes, I think is what they've got. So it's 20 minutes on the clock.
Oh, man.
When does John Bianco say a couple more or whatever? Is he even the one to do it? The clock is what determines that.
Telling Arch, hey, did you see Sankey on Monday? And can you come up with an opening address? Eats up 12
exactly.
of 20 minutes.
Can you filibuster? That's right. That would be a good. They should have put him in a room with Mac Brown for like 3 minutes, and Mac could have given him 12 minutes to talk on, and he would have taken a ton of it.
Those are my five.
All right, here we go, Catch. Back to recruiting and after the Atkinson thing. Buy or sell, you think Texas gets Derek Cooper's commitment on Sunday?
Buy. It's a flimsy buy. I'm still. Okay. I had a source last night that was very emphatic about Atkinson, and it made me think, okay, well, they got Atkinson, because I would just get ghosted or be a little. It was really emphatic, and I haven't had that with Cooper yet. So I'm going to say buy, because there is a real sense that Texas is motivated for him. But ask me that question again later in the week.
Fair enough. All right, you'll have to answer it again because you were reading my mind earlier. Buy or sell number 2. The 26 class for Texas will finish top 5.
Sell. I just think it's going to be somewhere in the 8 to 13 range when it's all said and done. But I'm telling you, look at the top end of all of the recruiting classes in Texas. We'll take a backseat to nobody.
All right, Catch, I'll give these 2 teams their love. Buy or sell. The other 2 teams today in Atlanta are Auburn and Tennessee. You think Tennessee wins less than 10 games in 2025, and Auburn will be a winning team. They were 5-7 last year. Buy
to both. Tennessee's not winning 9 or 10 games, and I do think Auburn's roster is sneaky good.
Yeah, they got a chance. I'm interested to see what that looks like.
They have real sneaky a top 10 roster in college football in terms of high-end talent. Same as A&M, same as Oklahoma, basically the same, not quite LSU, but only a couple of guys behind.
Right. And Catch, if we're 46 days away from Texas, Ohio State, that means we're 45 days away from Auburn at Baylor. That's the first game of the year for Hugh Freeze and Auburn, and Jackson Arnold going to the state of Texas to play Baylor. So interesting. And Baylor's picked by some to win the damn Big 12. So an interesting game on that first Friday night.
Think about a guy like Corey Coleman. He's so sick. And of all the freshman receivers from last, you think about all the young receivers in college football that get buzz.
Cam Coleman?
Sorry. Corey Coleman was the Baylor guy.
Yes.
But kind of similar guys.
Yeah, right. Freaks.
Are they fast? Oh, yeah.
Hell yes. He's great. He's so much fun to watch.
So if they've got if Jackson is Arnold that's at Auburn, right? Who transferred?
Yeah. Yep. Jackson Arnold.
If it comes together even a little bit, let me put it to you like this. Their roster is the same as Florida. I just don't know that they have Lagway. But everything else is pretty similar. And we all respect the hell out of Florida's roster. So I think that would be the way to think of it. They are, from a talent standpoint, top of the food chain. And they've done really well with the portal. They've done a little bit of what Oregon did. Not so much 5 stars all the way. They've done real well in the transfer portal. They're right there. If you're Texas, you're glad Auburn is somebody else's business and not yours this season.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Auburn at Oklahoma in September as well. They got those 2 games, first against Baylor, then Oklahoma. We'll get a look at Auburn in 2 weeks.
They're going to be great. You just asked me if they're going to be a winning team.
Right.
And I'm telling you, they've got a roster that says, they're a playoff caliber level of team.
And those are those games. To get to a 7-win kind of season, you probably need to beat Baylor or OU, don't you? And do you need to beat both of them? Let's see what happens to them early. All right, Catch, a couple of weird birthdays to end with. Buy or sell number 4. Damian Lillard is 35 today. You can tell me where he went to college.
Why did that just get tricky for me?
You are sick if you get this one. I wouldn't have got it. It's a great trivia question, though.
Sell Washington.
You were correct to sell. Weber State.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm glad you didn't give me 100 guesses.
Right.
And I'm glad there wasn't like in the Superman movie, I'm glad there wasn't a gun pointed at my head.
Yeah, right. Like Kawhi Leonard went to San Diego State is way more reasonable than that one.
By the way, my daughter had questions about that scene. Just FYI.
I know you told me. You told me. I transmitted her worries to my daughter too, and she's like, "Yeah, I guess it was a little."
I mean, because your daughter's not 11. You know what I mean? The thing is,
right. My daughter at 18 saw it very differently.
PG-13, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where you take your 11-year-old and you think, I think it'll be okay. And then when it's over with, you're like, I'm a shitty father.
Yeah, they should have filmed that scene just a little different. All right, Catch, let's go to the concert. Speaking of the ladies, buy or sell. Number 5, Linda Ronstadt, 79 today. Prime on Prime concert. You'd rather see Linda than Stevie Nicks.
Sell by a lot, actually. Can I make a confession?
Sure.
Linda Ronstadt's amazing. Amazing. I think she's boring as hell when she sings, though.
Interesting.
Like, I've watched a lot of like reactions to her singing. Like I've watched.
Oh, she's so regarded. I mean, so highly regarded by the music industry.
She's special.
Mm-hmm.
But she's kind of like, if I go see Stevie, I'm getting witch shit left and right. There's probably smoke and like it's a show. And she might set some charm. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying she's a better singer than Linda. She's not. Like, Linda probably objectively is a better singer. She's incredible. But I think Stevie made more bangers and would put on a better show.
Yep. I agree with you there. I'm not the same stuff on Linda, though. I would go with Stevie there. I just don't know enough Linda. I wasn't raised on Linda and have not heard enough of her.
I'm not crazy, right? Linda's like got like 3 bangers. Whereas it feels like if Stevie gets to play the Fleetwood stuff.
Yeah, no, I love Stevie Nicks, so I definitely would go with Stevie. All right, that's gonna wrap us up. We're about an hour or so away as we sit here from Sark, and then you got Arch Manning. And remember, the fellas in Atlanta, the live reaction after Arch is done and everything. You know, Anwar's gonna be there, and the Sonny is gonna be getting the expert position. Look for that video. I can't wait to see the perspective Sonny's going to get for the video for Arch Manning, because she did a great job last year. She's been training a whole year. Sonny getting set up for Quinn Ewers and getting set up for Arch Manning. It's 2 different deals. Graduation days today. I can't wait to see where you get. That's going to be awesome. Like, subscribe, get your notifications. Check the guys out. Hell, Cody Carpentier has already interviewed Paul Feinbaum today. Check that out on Orange Bloods Live. The recruiting hour is going to be awesome this week. Jason and I are going to do that one. We'll premiere tomorrow at 10 a.m. Obviously, Tyler Atkinson, Derek Cooper, and some other information. So check it all out. Thank you to Hayes City Store, Taste on Main, and of course, Texas Card House for being our presenting sponsors, for getting the guys to SEC Media Days in Atlanta. We will talk to you tomorrow at 12 and react to all of it. Until then, y'all take care. This is Orange Bloods Live.